All right, I'm out here once again in the power and grace of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. And first of all, I'd like to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the brethren doing the work of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai in true faith and sincerity. So I'm going to just kick this thing off, like I say, in the spirit. You know, hey, anything goes, throwing caution to the wind. Because we do know that these are the last days. World War III is approaching, and the time is up for this kingdom. So I'm going to just go through the prophecies. I'm going to bring it out raw. You know, whether you like it or love it, the truth will be told here today, as always, as has always been told, you know, by the prophets of Great Millstone, the prophets of Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Hey, the time is up for this kingdom. The time is up for this place. So we just, like I say, gonna look at these prophecies. You got Putin. He's calling for all Russian citizens worldwide, but mainly here in the U.S., to get back to Russia. And why is that? Because he know, as well as we know, the prophets, that World War III is at hand. So that's a major move. That's a major step by the leader of a world power. He's saying everybody that's here in America, whether you're a citizen, a student, you got a work visa, whatever it is, man, to get back to Russia, because long story short, they're about to send missiles over here, man, to fulfill the prophecy of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Thermonuclear warfare is coming to America. Whether you want to accept it or not, it doesn't matter. The Heavenly Father's will be carried out here in the earth. So, and his will is to destroy this place and all you wicked people that's herein. And the Most High could care less, I damn sure could care less, because this place got to go. America has to go. The people here are in the stupor. The people here in America are in a bugged out state of mind. And they wouldn't know reality from fantasy if it hit them in the face. So like I say, we're gonna focus on these prophecies today, and we're gonna lay this thing out, man. It's been a long time coming for us here, for the prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Even before I came into this truth, I knew it had to be more than this. You know, just holding a 9 to 5 or working all your life just to die. And living in a state of death as you waiting to die. Because when you look at the people as a whole, the people in America, they are in a state of death. And yet they want to remain in their state. They want to continue living in the world, in the state that they're living in. But see, even like I say, even before I came into this truth, I knew it was more, man. I knew it had to be something more than this. And so when this truth was presented to me, man, I just grabbed hold to it. It resonated with my spirit, and I knew this was the truth. And you got those that they come into this thing for a while, and then they, for whatever reason, think that this ain't the truth anymore. They get offended. They feel like, they have a better way. But no, the way of the Most High is pure. And that's another thing we're going to touch on, just how the doctrine is very relevant. And we've been speaking on that. Other brothers been speaking on that, how important the doctrine is. Yes, the doctrine is very important. So we're going to kick this thing off. I'm going to go to the book of Joel. So this is Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. It said, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Oh, it's the time that we're in. We're in the time of war. So the Most High here is he's commanding. He said, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. The Gentiles are these other nations. When you're talking about the Russians, they are the Gentiles. You talk about, the Chinese, which in the Bible are the Moabites. They are the heathen. You talk about Japan and the Japanese, who are the biblical Ammonites. Those are the heathens. So it's saying, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. And that's what time we're in. We're living in the time of World War III because it was prophesied way back past like 2,500 years ago. The Most High said to proclaim war. So this is a prophecy that's being fulfilled to this day. This prophecy was for these times right now. War is being proclaimed. That's why you see me out here. I'm proclaiming war among the Gentiles. But you know, it goes even because the prophets out here proclaiming that there's war coming, but then, you know, you got these heads of states that they're also proclaiming war. That's why Putin is calling all his fellow citizens back to Mother Russia. Kim Jong-un, he's proclaiming war. So this is what's going on. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. So that's letting you know, man, that time of peace is coming to an end. Now those tools that were once used for agriculture, for feeding the nation, it's time to use those tools, beat them into swords. It's time to beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. So now we see that the budgets, these budgets of these nations, they're not going into farming or agriculture. They're going into their military. So that's how in these last days they're beating their swords they're beating their pruning hooks in the spears, and they're how it says, beating their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears. It says, let the weak say I am strong. And that's these nations when you look at North Korea. North Korea is bucking up now against the U.S. That's the weak saying I am strong. You got Iran. Iran is bucking up against not only the U.S., but Israel, because they got, you know, they got the nuclear technology now. And not only that, they got these two major superpowers backing them. When you're speaking about Iran, you're talking about Russia and China. Russia has Iran's back. And so when you're talking about Russia, the Chinese are going to back the Russians' play. So they're all coming together. And you see that in the form of BRICS when you're talking about this money system. The BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and you got South Africa in there also. They coming together to form their own currency because they want to get away from this inflated U.S. dollar, this fiat money. They want to get away with it because of the debt that's attached to it. There's so much debt attached to the U.S. dollar that is bankrupting these other countries. What you see what's going on in Greece and the EU and Europe. Yeah, that's because the euro is weak, but the euro is weak because the dollar is weak. And all these currencies that's tied to the dollar, they're weak. The whole thing is coming crashing down. So you know, sir, we're getting ready to go into World War III. You know, World War III is at hand. I believe you, bro. Yeah, you got Putin. He calling for all Russian citizens to go back to Russia. Here in the U.S., any Russian citizens, students, whatever, get back to Russia. And in other parts of the world, he telling his people to come back to Mother Russia because they know what's at hand. They about to go to war. They tired of America bullying, you know, not only Russia, but the rest of the world bullying them, because that's really the only thing that's been holding this U.S. dollar up. So we're speaking about the economy. The only thing that's been holding this dollar up is the U.S. military. Because you had it being backed by oil beginning back in 1973 when Nixon put the U.S. dollar, you know, he made that deal with the Saudis to have it backed by oil, and that's where the term petrodollar come from. So we had a petrodollar up until recently, but that really came crashing down back in 2007, and then you saw the effects of that in 2008, and then the petrodollar been weak ever since then. So the only thing that really been keeping it afloat was the U.S. military just bullying these nations into accepting that dollar and making them accept it against their will, because they know that the dollar it had all this debt attached to it. So what they've been doing on the down low with nations like China and Russia, they just been buying as much gold and tangible assets that they could get their hands on, so when the dollar does collapse, they wouldn't be hit with such a hard blow. They'd have, a little cushion to soften the fall. So, but they still gonna feel it regardless, because the dollar has been dominant for so long. There's no way not to feel the effects of the crash. But they do have a little cushion with the gold. But see, that's what they think is gonna happen. The scriptures have another take on it. And what the scriptures say is what's gonna happen. So and we can read that in the prophecy. But like I say, I'm out here to bring out the prophecies and relate them to current events, showing you that this is the word of the Almighty Heavenly Father. This is the word of the true and living God. All these other books that they tell you that, it's all about this, whether it be the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Quran, the unholy Quran, the Kibra Negas, none of them prophesy. And if they do, those prophecies, so-called prophecies, haven't come to pass. So then that makes them not prophecy. But this book right here, 100% on point. So I'm gonna go through this again, and then I'm gonna go to the prophecy showing you that what this white man got thought up in his head is not gonna come to fruition. What's written in these scriptures are what's gonna come to fruition. So again, this is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Now, all them nations that at one time wouldn't dare speak up against the U.S., fulfill the U.S. military, now they saying, man, we sick of the BS that America is putting us through. So they rising up. That's why I say let the weak say I'm strong, because they have been acquiring weapons. Like I say, they have been acquiring resources, whether it be gold, silver, copper, you name it. So, and they've been forming alliances. So now they like, to hell with the U.S. But the major part right here where it said beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. So that's just letting you know they're getting ready for war. They're getting their weaponry ready. Now the budget, the money that they once would spend to feed their nation, to put into agriculture, to grow crops, they're using that to put into the military budget. We see the same thing here going on with the U.S. So war is coming. Now I'm going to go to this real quick. What the prophecy says about these so-called ruling elites up at the top, because they play both sides. When it comes to these wars, the bankers up at the top, they fund both sides, because their whole thing is to get everybody fighting, and then they'll rebuild from the ashes. Once everybody they done killed they done got both sides to kill each other up, burn down everything, all the infrastructure destroyed and everything, then they come back and then they rebuild from the ashes. That's what the myth of the which what they follow. We don't get into mythology, but the mythology of the phoenix rising. You got a city, a major city here in America, in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, and that means the phoenix rising, because Arizona means to rise. So they believe in this mythology. But this is what the scriptures say. This is Job chapter 20, You know, I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, his bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. So his bones are full of the sin of his youth, meaning his sins go all the way back to his beginning. Your youth is your beginning, when you first started out. So this man been sinning since his inception, since the beginning. So again, his bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. So, right, when this white man is taken out of the way and brought into confusion, all them sins are going to go with him. It said, though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, meaning the lies that he speaks, because everything he says is a lie. He come to you with sweet and you know, boastful words, get you to feel good. He come with these gentle words, but then secretly he got something else playing. Wickedness, mischief. So this is what it says. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue through his lies, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it, to say still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of ass within him. So his meat, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of ass within him. His meat is everything that he labored and worked for. All the things that he labored and worked for, now it's turning against him. Everything that he worked for, he had to have so many counsels every day, because every time he set his hand to do something, it's upset. Just like with the election here in the U.S. They actually wanted to get Ted Cruz in. But then that was upset because all this dirt that started coming out with Ted Cruz, he had to drop out. So then they said they were going to work with Hillary. And now a flood of dirt is coming out on Hillary through the WikiLeaks and whatever. So that's just one example. Everything that he worked and labored for, his meat, because your meat is your substance, you know, and this devil's meat is his riches and whatnot. And he used his riches for influence, to influence the populations around the world. It's all coming to the light. He's being exposed. And everybody's saying, basically seeing this devil for the devil that he is. And they saying, we don't want nothing else to do with you. Only here in America do people still believe in this white man. Only right here they don't want to see him for what he is. Because of this love affair that especially our people, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, this love affair that they have, the Stockholm syndrome that they under for their master, their captor, their enslaver. It's nothing more than Stockholm syndrome. So, again, say, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of ass within him. Break that down. I don't know what that is offhand, but I just loosely paraphrased that for you. When the Lord said, he said, I have meat that you know not of. And then he was talking to his disciples. He said, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me, which was to do the will of the Heavenly Father. This is what the Lord Yahushua said. Yahushua is the name of the only begotten Son. So he said, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me. So your meat is basically what you are about. So what this white man is about is oppression. Ruling the world through oppression. You know, we're going into war. World War III is at hand. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that real quick. And I'm bringing that up because that's what my meat is about. My meat is about doing the will of the Heavenly Father in the name of his only begotten